Welcome to Anticipating Christ's Return YouTube channel, a place where we can gather together and joyfully anticipate the return of our Lord. I hope you enjoy. Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Caitlin. I want to have some fun today, and I want to do some general conference predictions. Now, this is just for fun. I think most people know me by now, I am very clear to say when I am speculating, this is 100% pure speculation on my part. I don't do this very often, but I do think it's kind of fun to guess what will happen and to talk about things that are exciting. Before I start speculating, I just want to say the primary reason we should watch General Conference is obviously to hear the voice of the Lord through his chosen servants, the prophets and apostles. That's the number one reason that we should tune in and watch Conference. I know that as we prepare with questions and things that are weighing on our heart, we will be led by God to receive the answers that we most need and that we are seeking. So I hope between now and Saturday morning and throughout the whole weekend that you guys will take some time to quiet your mind, to pray, and to seek out questions, specific questions for the Lord. As you do this, I promise that you will receive answers from the Lord, from these chosen and called and set apart servants of the Lord. With all that being said, now I want to talk about General Conference and what might happen and some of my predictions, if you will. I have no insider knowledge. This is just purely fun that I'm doing. So, the church news just put out the updated chart of general authorities and general officers of the church. Because President Nelson died last Saturday, the first presidency has been dissolved. So we have 14 members of the Quorum of the 12 Apostles. That seems crazy to have 14 of them. But we have 14. And okay, let me back up. I am still unsure. I know that people have said, and maybe I don't know if I want to pull it up actually, but yeah, I will, just to show you guys. Just a second. Okay, so in my last video that I did a few days ago, I mentioned that I hadn't seen an official thing. This was posted the day after President Nelson. No, it wasn't. It was posted the day that President Nelson died. So this was posted on September 27th. And right here it says a successor is not expected to be formally chosen by the church's quorum of the 12 apostles until after President Nelson's funeral. So that is where people are getting that. Granted, a lot can change between then, a week ago, to this weekend for General Conference. So I'm not taking it off the table. They haven't made again, this was like the day that he died, and I don't know. Anyway, it doesn't say that they won't necessarily. It just says it's not expected to be formally chosen. So where they did do that tribute service, that I wonder if that maybe counts. I do see plans for a special tribute broadcast and funeral service, but I think this was added later when they actually had that information. I'm not sure. But anyway, that is still up in the air. Okay, so let's go back to this. Let's see. Where is it? Okay, here we go. Okay, so the first presidency has been dissolved. Regardless of if this happens on General Conference or after, I am fairly certain, just kidding. I am, but Dallin H will be prophet. Surprise. As for his apostles, I don't want to say, again, this is just speculation, right? Elder Holland has not been in a presidency before. I think it's possible that if President Oaks feels like he will be the next prophet, I think it's possible that he will call him to the first presidency, to be a part of that, kind of like how President Nelson did for President Oaks. So that is a very possible solution. I don't know if President Eyring will be put in. He's been in the first presidency since President Hinckley. So he has always been, well, was it with, I think it was even with President Hinckley. And then for sure, President Monson, he's been in for a very long time. President Uchtdorf, he's been in the first presidency before. Will they give it to someone else, or, I don't know. I could really see, I think if I were to place bets, which we don't, I could see David A. Bednar being put in for sure. That's to me, he's young. Which Elder Uchtdorf is too. President Uchtdorf is young too. Both of them are in great health. I could see either one of them being put into the first presidency. And then if I had to pick someone else, I could see Ronald A. Rasband being put in the first presidency. Really, I could see any of them. Any of them would be great. I'm an 80% chance. I'm 80% that Elder Bednar is going in that first presidency. I don't know for sure. But I could see it happening. Okay. As for a new apostle, I could really see Edward Dubé being put in. Right here. I am this is me seeing him in there. I don't know. I have no idea. I could see it. I could also see Kevin Duncan getting put in. And that's from the presidency of the 70. Yeah, Edward Dubé, I think that one's probably my number one pick that I would think for, I don't know, Matthew Carpenter. Okay, so Matthew Carpenter, he came to our stake recently. He'd be very good. Ahmad Corbett, he would be very good. Any of them really would be good. Okay, anyway. Again, I don't know. Obviously, this is just guessing, right? Okay, as far as temples, let's go over to my temple predictions. Dun, dun, dun. My husband, Ty, was like, you should seriously do a pregame and have music and, stuff like that, which I wish I had a Team Jesus shirt and I could be Team Jesus. Okay, anyway, let's go to the temples. Okay, this is the Church of Jesus Christ temples. Okay, so we have 208 dedicated temples. 62 are under construction. 112 are announced, leaving 382 total temples. I am fairly certain, this is my number one guess, I bet there will be 18 temples announced. Now that number is crazy. I think the highest number, and I could be wrong on this one, but I think the highest number ever announced was 20. So to have 18 temples is a large number. It would make sense though, and let me tie in some cool things. If there were 18 temples announced, and it was also announced by President Oaks, who will be the 18th prophet of the church in this dispensation, that's pretty cool. And it brings into that symbolism, that 8 number, that 8, which is one more than completion, that new beginning, if you will. So I am definitely rooting for 18 temples to be announced. As far as where they will be announced, this one's a little harder to guess. And I tried to have ChatGPT help me, and it was struggling. It was struggling. However, I do want to share some of the places. One second. Okay. So I typed in all of the things that I wanted it to look for. I wanted it to look at membership. I wanted it to look at where temples are right now, where the biggest amount of saints are. Now, again, this is not perfect, but I had it rank 18 of them from most likely to least likely. And I even included some wild ones, what if they announced a temple in Independence, Missouri? What if they announced a temple in Jerusalem? Which, I know those are crazy, but why not? If we're just guessing anyway, why not go big or go home, Okay, this one, very highly likely. I would be surprised if there was not a temple in this location. But another one in the Philippines, another one or two. They have been announcing temples in the Philippines like crazy, which makes sense because there are so many members, and there are, it's just so busy. It's so hard to get, to the different places. So anyway, this says Cebu. I don't know if I said that right, or Davao. Brazil. That says that it is, Brazil is, Philippines has nearly 900,000 members, and multiple new temples under, and then Brazil is the third largest church membership in the country. And then it just says huge distances in the north make Amazon region temple very plausible. Nigeria is exploding with growth, one of Africa's fastest. More than one temple here is realistic within the next 5 years. Papua New Guinea, they have actually Port Moresby. I feel like that's been announced actually. So anyway, but maybe there's going to be another one there. I don't know. Mexico. So Mexico has a lot of members. They have 1.5 million members. But I could see a north temple in Mexico if there's not already. See, that's the thing with ChatGPT, is sometimes you don't know if anyway, and I didn't go and double check. But yeah, a north temple, I could see that. Ecuador. They said Ecuador. They said the Democratic Republic of the Congo, which they've been announcing a lot of those. So they could add another one. Ethiopia. This is interesting. Membership growing strategic East African hub would serve the Horn of Africa. Interesting. Cape Town in South Africa. See, some of these, I'm like, is there not Africa, Cape Town? Because I swear I hear about them all the time, which I should have verified. But again, I didn't. So Poland, I could see this happening, actually, just because it's so hard to get cross the country borders, especially with the wars that are going on. So yeah, I could see that. This is really interesting. It says moderate likelihood possible, but needs the stars to align. India in Mumbai. That would be amazing. And it says Bengaluru temple is underway. Interesting. Okay. India in New Delhi. Did I just say that right? Okay, Fiji. But Kiribati already has a temple announced. Anyway. So it says faithful saints need better access, but Swavia already has a temple. If anything, another Pacific island like Kiribati, which Kiribati has been announced. So I know for sure that Kiribati has been announced because I had a mission companion from Kiribati. So I know that this list is not accurate. Okay, let's see. There's another U.S. Sunbelt one, like Austin, Texas, or Phoenix. Man, I don't know. After the whole drama with Texas in the temple, anyway, I almost said something, but it wasn't Christ-like, so I was going to stop. Okay, Independence, Missouri. Yeah, this is least likely. But would be huge if it happened. And then Jerusalem that's near impossible right now with the tensions there. Jakarta, Indonesia, that'd be so cool. Really probably not likely because of the political restrictions. Anyway. Cool. I don't know. So interesting. It is so fun. I do think there probably will be 18 though. That is just what my gut is telling me. It was really interesting. I got to meet Jared for the first time a week ago, in person. He came over to my house, but he was talking about the 18 temples, and it was funny because I was like, I bet there's gonna be 18 temples. He's like, me too. So anyway, we're both aligned there. I think it's knowing President Nelson, I think it's highly likely that he would want that number to be 400 if he was that close. I think it would probably drive him crazy to see 397, that number would just drive him crazy. So I bet you anything it's gonna be 18 temples announced. I bet. Anyway, what else? I don't know what else. I don't know. I've heard rumors of people saying, oh, watch General Conference because there's going to be a big announcement. I'm trying, honestly, I'm what big announcement would warrant like a member of the 70 to be like, oh, this announcement's going to be really big. Watch it. I don't know. Maybe there's going to be something. That was before, well, I guess, I don't know. Anyway, I guess that was maybe before General Conference or before President Nelson died that I heard that rumor. I don't know if it was or not, but, yeah, part of me is like, I just don't know what would be so big that, regardless, part of me is always hesitant to be like, oh, there's going to be something big, just because to me, General Conference, and now that I'm done speculating. General Conference is more to me than just what could be announced or what's the next big thing or what's the next change. To me, I don't love, and it's so funny because I just made a whole 20-minute video of speculation, right? But to me, I feel like we kind of went through this big change period, which change is always kind of fun and exciting, and it definitely hastened the work, and I think that's where people got so excited. But I again just want to point out that we go to General Conference to hear the voice of the Lord. That is General Conference. That is why we watch. That is why we prepare. And that is why we go into it spiritually ready and physically ready. I mean, I've spent the last 3 days cleaning my house because I want it to be clean, and so that I can sit down and really take in what the Lord wants to speak to me. So anyway, that part of me is like, oh, don't, like, I would be 100%, 110% okay with zero changes, zero big announcements. Even if they didn't announce any more temples, I would just be so grateful to be able to be a part of General Conference and to feel the Spirit and the Lord testify to us the things that we need. The Lord is aware of our struggles and our difficulties and the things that are worrying us, and He wants to give us peace. And that alone is worth tuning in for and watching and seeking revelation to hear what He would say to us. I am so excited for General Conference. I am ready. My spirit is longing to hear the messages that will be spoken. I guess maybe one other thing that's still up in the air is President Nelson had a talk written out. You know that they prepare their talks months in advance. I don't think it was recorded. We know that his eyesight was really bad. He had lost his vision. I think like all of his vision. And so I don't think the message is pre-recorded. But it will be interesting. I think if we don't sustain President Oaks as prophet, I think chances are likely that he would read the talk that President Nelson prepared for us. That is something that I think would be likely. I think if we sustain President Oaks, I don't know if he would read it necessarily. I don't know why. That's kind of just where my thoughts are going, of if we don't sustain President Nelson or President Oaks at this General Conference and have a solemn assembly, I'm leaning towards the fact that he probably would read President Nelson's talk. I don't know. That's just my thoughts. Again, I have no insider knowledge. I really don't. Sometimes people comment and they're like, oh, it feels like you do. And I'm like, I don't. Like, I really don't. But I wish I did. If you guys know something, email me. But yeah. And then I feel like, my last bit of speculation would just be, maybe Jesus will come. I always say that. And I always mean it. And I think he does come. In fact, I know he comes because I feel the Spirit during General Conference. But one of these times, I feel like he could come, I think the purpose of, when we think of Adam-on-Diamond, that meeting where Christ comes and and we sustain him as King of Kings and Lord of Lords. The purpose of that meeting is to sustain him, to receive him as King of Kings and Lord of Lords. That meeting has often been called Adam-on-Diamond. And there is a valley, Adam-on-Diamond, because that is where Adam blessed his posterity. And it was really interesting. Recently, I was listening to a podcast. I believe it was Talking Scripture. They're one of my favorites that I listen to personally. But they were talking about the purpose of Adam-on-Diamond. And they said it's important to know what the purpose is because we've seen in history that meetings like this have happened not in that same place, right? So you think of Abraham blessing his posterity. That had to happen somewhere. And it wasn't in a specific location, but the purpose of it remains the same, that he wanted to bless his posterity. Likewise, that's Adam-on-Diamond, that we believe that Adam entered into that valley to bless his posterity. That's why that place is sacred, because that's where Adam blessed his posterity. And now I could be mistaken, and really, I don't have to be right on this, and it's okay, but this is kind of what I gleaned from that podcast episode that I listened to was the purpose of Adam-on-Diamond. It will come to pass. But I don't think it necessarily has to happen in a certain location. In fact, that is kind of why I lean towards Christ returning to the membership of the church at a general conference. And maybe where a meeting like Adam-on-Diamond is prophesied would happen in a meeting like that, because of where the resource is, right, where the conference center is, where the church gathers. There is significance to the church gathering at the conference center in these days. And that has significance to us. And I think that's why these locations matter, is because they have significance to the people who the Lord is speaking to. Anyway, that was just kind of another random thought. I'm not saying like Christ is coming. I mean, we know he is. We know he will come. We know that the days will be cut short. I actually have that written down as a video to make, so hopefully I can do that soon. But we know that these latter days will be cut short because of righteousness. And so every time I say, I hope Jesus comes, I hope that I am part of that cutting short because of righteousness. The Lord hears our pleas. He knows that we want the Lord to come, and we are preparing to receive him, just like President Nelson has been urging us to do. And one day he will come. And I know that. I love you all so much. I hope you enjoy General Conference. I probably won't be doing videos over the weekend. I may put one out randomly. I don't think I'm going to go live. I'm sorry. I know that people like that. I feel like I need to be built up spiritually this weekend. Life is really heavy. I need to take time with my family. I know you guys all understand. I invite you all to slow down this week if you feel called to do that. Obviously, you have agency. Someone commented the other day and was like, we have agency. And I'm like, no, I know you have agency. And this week I'm going to use my agency to slow down and to get rejuvenated. There's a lot of noise in the world. And as much as I try to be level-headed and calm and collected, there's a lot of noise. And I have found that as I am trying to always think of exciting and uplifting content for you guys, sometimes I put my needs on the back burner. So this weekend I'm going to put on my own oxygen mask this weekend, and then I'll come back and I will be so excited to share all that I learned with you guys after that. So I love you all so much. Thank you for all being here and for loving me and supporting me and just being Christ-like and Zion-like. I truly do love you all. I think as I record, I sit and think of all of your little names and handles, and I know I have people who aren't members of the church who watch. I actually have at least one that I know of, a Jewish sister who watches because she likes to learn about what we believe. So I'm recording this on Yom Kippur. So happy Yom Kippur. I hope it was amazing for you. I know that it's after the fact now. And I know that I have other people who listen who are slowly making their way back to church, or who are from other denominations or other restoration churches. And I love you all. And I'm grateful that you guys would listen to this. So hopefully this video was fun for you, a little different. I tried to still stay grounded in my guesses, in my speculation, but hopefully this was a fun one for you. So we will talk soon. Go ahead and put your speculation down in the comment of what you think, any rumorings you have heard, and we'll talk soon.